morning live here in the US. It is a cold, cold, cold day here in Mississippi, USA. Hopefully, it's a little warmer in whatever part of the world you are in. Well, I am super excited. Welcome to a new NBT studio using a new software to be able to go live, going live, NBT live on the normal platform now, also being able to hit multiple platforms at once, a little bit of new graphical layout, maybe a new quality here as well. So ultimately, let me know, NBT Nation, what you see, if it's looking better, sounding better, all that. Leave me a comment in the chat, and we will dive in to an exciting topic today. Really glad to have everyone here today, NBT Live. What do we talk about here on NBT Live? How do we produce corporate training that gives you results, not yawns? How do you get results, not yawns, from all your corporate training effort? So this is really geared towards people that are asked to do training, and oftentimes that's somebody who's thrown into it and given no guidance, no official training on how to be a trainer. Usually it's a subject matter expert, maybe somebody new to corporate training. That's who we really aim most of our content at. Obviously, also here to support full-time corporate trainers. How do we level up so that we're really impacting the organization, moving the business forwards, really getting better engagement, better results? And then lastly, here at NBT, of course, we look to support leaders, you leaders of organizations, you out there who you invest a lot of time and energy in your training effort. You're not so sure it's impacting that top line revenue, top line metrics like revenue, talent retention, profit, all net promoter score, all of those different things. So if you're as a leader of an organization, NBT is for you so that you can make sure your investments in training are actually moving the dial. So if corporate training is a topic that you want to get more results, less yawns, let's dive in. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Let me know where you are. If you have ever sat through a horrible, awful, miserable, boring corporate training session, let me know in the chat. Or if you have given a training and you saw a room full of blank stares, let me know that too. So we're going to dive into the hard truths. Today's topic, the hard truths, becoming a no boring trainer. What's it all about? When I first started doing corporate training many, many, many years ago, I was asked to put together a training for architects to know when to specify hot dip galvanizing as a corrosion protection system. When should they do it? How should they do it? What are some of the design considerations they should have? How does hot dip galvanizing work? What are the benefits of galvanizing, et cetera, et cetera? I was very young and given no real guidance, direction on what to do other than I had an hour and 15-minute block of time to fill. So what did I do? I sat down and I opened up PowerPoint and I said, okay, what's the first thing I want to tell them? And what's the second thing I want to tell them? And what's the third thing and the fourth thing and the 50th thing and the 100th thing and the 200th thing? And as you can imagine, I built a slide deck that was multiple hundreds of slides long. And I really practiced this presentation again and again and again. I was quite young, very nervous, and presenting to architects. That's an audience of really smart, educated people. And fun fact, one of my friends was in the audience. Somebody I knew personally was in the audience. So I was nervous. I was terrified, actually. So what did I do? I got in front of that group of people and I went through those slides in very exacting detail, slide after slide after slide, detail after detail after detail. How effective was that session? It wasn't. Let me tell you. Blank stares, a lot of boredom, people dozing off, people getting uncomfortable, people looking at their watches. Had we had mobile phones at that time, they would have been checking their checking their phones. Flash forward to today. Now, obviously, today, here at No Boring Training, I'm a certified No Boring trainer with well over 10,000 hours of designing, developing, delivering corporate training. And the hard truths of becoming a certified no boring trainer, or hard truths of becoming a no boring trainer, rather, these are the tips I wish I had back then, way back when. These are the things that I've figured out along the way that are going to help you elevate your training effort. Whether you're a subject matter expert, you get tapped on the shoulder and somebody says, "Hey, could you design a training?" And you're like, "Yeah, this is one of a million different things I do." Whether you're a full time trainer and you just feel that you need to breathe a little bit more life into your instructor led sessions, and frankly, you're learning across the organization, but certainly your instructor led sessions, or you're that leader that I mentioned, and you sit in on the training sessions, or you walk by the conference room, you see the training happening, and you're thinking to yourself, "Man, we just pulled 10 people offline. There's an impact to operations. There's an opportunity cost. There's sunk costs. What am I getting a return on this investment?" The hard truths are really designed specifically so that those investments pay off on those top line metrics. They're designed specifically so if you are a corporate trainer, you can start to see people remember and use the information to help them grow and develop in their role and move the business forward. And certainly, if you're a new trainer, and you only do it once in a while, these are the rules of the road that are going to help you to quickly get much better results, get those results, not yawn. So that's a little bit about what the hard truths of becoming a no boring trainer are all about. Now, I've laid this all out in an ebook that's available at noboringtraining.com for less than the price of a cup of coffee. 60 pages, 20 hard truths, 15 infographics, and countless tips, tricks, and ideas, hacks to help you level up your corporate training. Get it today. I think you'll find that it helps expand on all these ideas that are on your screen. So check that out, noboringtraining.com. Playing around with some some tools here. You can get results, not yawns. Click on the link, take you right to noboringtraining.com. So with that in mind, what are some of the hard truths? I'm not going to go through all 20 today. I want this to just sort of be the kickoff of a series, but I'm going to kind of hit on a couple of these. The first three: start with the outcome and work backwards to plan the session. The key to really effective corporate training sessions, whether you're in person or virtually, is proper planning. It's like anything in life. The more time, energy, and focus, the more time, energy, and focus you pour into planning out an effective training, the better results you'll get during the training. I mean, come on. it didn't take years and years of study to figure that out. But how you plan that is so important, and keep it simple. What do I want my audience, my participants to know, to be able to do, to remember, to be able to execute on? What do I want them to start doing, or what do I want them to stop doing? Define that crystal clear, write it out on a dry erase board, a piece of paper, and really get that laser focused. Once you do that, then work backwards. How am I going to get them to this point? How am I going to get them to know this information? How am I going to get them to remember it? How am I going to get them to use it? Maybe I'm teaching a procedure. How do I take that procedure and break it into 2 or 3 or 4 kind of key elements? Not just I'm going to start at step 1 and then I'm going to go to step 5, but how do I take that understanding that procedure, break it down into 3 or 4 key sort of overarching topics? Then break each one of those topics into maybe 3 or 4 key points. Map all that out in a logical progression from crawl, walk, run, from the first thing to the last thing that leads up to understanding that objective. Have a progression of knowledge. You don't start with, if you're teaching somebody how to drive a car, you don't start with what the compression ratios and how the fuel filter works and how do you keep your tires inflated to get better fuel economy. That's not where you start. You start with the basics, right? Do the same thing as you map out the topics and points that people need to learn know, and practice to lead up to the objective. Then you can map out, where do I plug in my audience interaction points? Where do I plug in the games, the activities, the simulations, the role plays, the videos, the exercises, the breakout sessions, the debriefs, all those sorts of things? You can start to map those out at strategic points throughout the session. But you got to start with that outcome and work backwards from there. That's the very first step. The first step of planning a training is not opening up PowerPoint and building a slide deck, or opening up Canva, or opening up whatever and building a slide deck. That ain't it. That the content comes later. The content comes later. You don't start with that. You start with defining the objective, what it is you're trying to accomplish, work backwards from there. That's how you get an effective training. That's the hard truth. Hard truth number one of becoming a no boring trainer. So once you accept that, planning gets better, the results get better, your interactions with stakeholders get better. So in other words, when your manager says, hey, could you help put together a training? When you plan the training this way, when they start trying to skip ahead, well, what color font are you going to use? Or is it going to be interactive? You got to have participation, When the manager wants to skip ahead in the planning practice, well, what sort of activities are you going to have? When the manager wants to skip ahead, if you adhere to hard truth number one, you can focus your training efforts, or the planning efforts, rather. Hey, listen, it's not time to worry about that now. What we should be worrying about right now is this instead, or what we should be worrying about is that instead. So having the training design or the planning process, hard truth number one, figured out, absorb it, you get better results. It's better to work with other people, and it's better to build your content. Once you get the roadmap figured out, all the content is easy. And frankly, the content building is the fun part, right? But once you have an agenda, a roadmap, a plan for your session, that's when you then start saying, okay, well, what sort of cool little game am I going to do to help them learn this concept? Okay, well, I guess we could do blah, blah, blah. That's when you then start to build the content. So everything starts with hard truth number one, plan appropriately. Effective training starts with effective planning and design. All right, number two. The second hard truth that we'll cover today, the first issue is usually not the real issue. I can't tell you how many times over the years somebody has said, we need a training. And you say, okay, cool, what's going on? Well, somebody messed something up. Something's not working. All of our shipments are late. We're having a bunch of quality issues. People aren't making sales visits. They're not using the software correctly. Well, we go to the system and nothing's in there correctly. The system's not being updated. A lot of I can't tell you how many times that conversation has come to me. Hey, we need a training. Rah! And whatever the issue is behind the rah, that ain't the real issue. It isn't usually the real issue. Usually when somebody comes to you all fired up, it's not the real issue. The real root cause core issue is not what has them fired up. Usually when somebody comes to you, they are responding emotionally, they are reacting, they haven't taken the time to find out the root cause issue, they haven't looked at the people, process, and systems, they haven't looked at the underlying foundational root cause piece of the puzzle. And I can tell you, my friends, if you want to have a really boring, ineffective training with a room full of people who are not happy to be there and actively resist you, design, develop, and deliver a training that's about the wrong issue. Boy, that really makes people unhappy. That room is going to be salty. They're going to push back against you as the trainer. You're going to get off topic. And frankly, you're just going to waste everybody's time, including your own. Every time. Yeah, I shouldn't say every. Every is Don't be careful saying every and ever and never, or every and never and always. Very dangerous words. But very regularly, when a manager, a senior leader, a stakeholder says, "Rah, we need a training," the real issue, the underlying issue, the core issue is not known, not really isn't accurate. And whatever they bring to the table, we need to have a training because somebody made a mistake. The process isn't working. The shipments are late. The quality's broken. The this isn't happening. Whatever. It ain't the real issue. You got to dig in. You got to find that root cause issue. And even when I said it, everybody's on fire. Even when the person asking for the training isn't on fire, even when it's just a normal request, dig in. Do some root cause analysis. Do some real digging in as to what might be causing this problem, causing this issue. All right, NBT Nation, we're through the first two of the hard truths of no boring training. Let me know what you think. Leave me some comments in the feed. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know just trying out a new feature. Let me know what you think, NBT Nation. Leave me some comments in the chat. If you're finding this helpful and interesting to level up your training, whether you're a trainer or a corporate a leader who wants to ensure that you're getting an investment for your training. Either way, if you're finding this helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, let me know where you are, and leave a comment if you've ever sat through a horrible, miserable, boring corporate training, or if you do training, you get a lot of rooms full of blank stares and unhappy people. If that's the case, let me know. Let me drop a chat so NBT Nation, we can kind of all work together here. All right. Hard truth number 3 from the Hard Truths of Becoming a No Boring Trainer. And again, this is all available via an ebook on noboringtraining.com. 60 pages, 20 hard truths, 15 infographics, and loads of practical information. Grab your copy today. But number 3, the flow matters more than you think. I made the mistake early on of when I started to do training somewhat regularly. I was in a sales management role, and through the course of that role, I had to either put together training programs or sales meetings. I had to deliver training, and a mistake that I regularly made was thinking about my delivery, focusing on my delivery and focusing on the information that was being presented. Did I know it well enough? Did I include everything? Did I cover all the bases? And in some ways, I still make that mistake today. I will do written email communications. I tend to pack in way too much information. I know that. Less is more. Heck, it's the 19th hard truth of becoming no boring trainer. Yet, when I write an email in a business setting, I gotta hold myself back. But I don't think I'm alone in this. I don't think I'm alone. I think when people are asked to assemble a training and they really don't know and understand how adults actually learn, and they don't know and understand how to help create an environment where those people can learn, what they tend to do, like we talked about in hard truth number 1, we talked about we pack in way too much information, and I'm going to tell them this, and this. And we don't start with the objective in mind and work in a logical way to reach that. Hard truth number 3 is the flow matters. The flow is so important. If you're just blasting out information into your audience, you're a fire hose of information directly to your audience's face, and you walk in the room and here's all this information. Man, now the audience has to figure out the flow. They have to figure out the progression. They have to figure out how this piece fits with this piece, fits with this piece, and fits with this piece. They got to put their brain power into that. And I got to tell you, if they can't connect the dots as to why they should pay attention to you in the first minute or two of your session, you're doomed. You're going to start to lose the audience, and getting them back is really, really hard. That flow is so important. You could lose the audience right from the very get go of the session. The flow matters in terms of making it easier for people to learn. I mean, think about what we do in our private lives. If you're learning a sport, what do you start with? The basics. Here's how you dribble the ball, use the bat, swing the thing, do the thing, catch the thing, hit the thing, whatever. You start with the basics. You're going to start maybe trying to lose weight, which, listen, I can relate to that too. That's on a different channel. Maybe you're trying to lose a few pounds, a few kilograms, a few stone. Do you get better results by jumping directly into crash diets and planning running marathons and all this? Or do you start small, build foundational habits that then you stack and layer and grow over time? Now, some people might be saying, hey, I got to dive into the deep end to get myself motivated. And that's sort of a different angle from what I'm talking about. But when I'm saying build a foundation of long-term physical fitness, you start small and you build and build and build and layer and layer and layer. When you learn how to drive a vehicle, you don't jump in and start doing F1 or NASCAR. What do you start doing? Typically your parents, when you're underage, let you back down the driveway or drive through the field or whatever. Maybe do it on a quiet country road or something, and nobody's looking. And, or they let you sit in the driver's seat. You can't even touch the pedal and do the wheel. Or maybe they drive the car and you sit on their lap and hold on to the wheel while they're doing the wheel too, and they let you turn. Whatever. You start slow, right? And then you build and you build and you build and you build. Training is the same way. You got to have that layering, that progression. You start small and layer and get more and more and more and more and more. And people know and know and know and know. And now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I know all this stuff. It holds true whether you're doing a 30-minute session, a 2-day workshop, or a 2-month program. You layer and build and build, and that flow is so important. Think about a speech that you give. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? And all these speech coaches talk about, having dramatic tension and, grabbing your audience right from the get-go and giving them the why and the with them and get the buy-in, and you build to a decision point and all the speaker things, right? Flow is important. The flow to training matters so much. It really does, whether it's the logical progression of not learning and knowledge throughout the training session or workshop or program, whether it's the order in which you do different modules, of an e-learning, whether it be how you structure the timing of when people learn things. So if you're in onboarding and it's the person's first day at the organization, you're probably not diving into the deep end of some crazy job role skill topic that they need to know. You're probably back at, there's the bathroom. Here's how you type into your computer. That's Bob in accounting. That's Mary down in IT. And here's your desk. Here's a little bit about company ethos. And here's how you get your paycheck. That's what you're doing on day one, right? During onboarding. Here's a little bit about our company mission. When you're doing maybe some advanced developmental training for somebody who's been in the organization for 7-8 years and they're looking at a promotion, You're not back at the basics. Whoops. You're not back at dealing with the ABC level stuff, right? So you got to think about the timing of when you release this information. Think about whether it's a session, a workshop, or a full program, think about when you have them practice their skills. Foundational in the beginning, you want them to practice and repeat those foundational skills. In the middle of the workshop, the session, the program, you want them to go back and repeat, refresh, and reinforce those foundations because you've started to sprinkle in new information and you don't want them to forget what they learned out of at the beginning. And then as you get towards like the capstone, the wrap up where they're putting all the pieces together, now your activities are geared around them putting all the pieces together, not so much learning new things. But that's all part of the flow. And that flow is really what helps people learn, what helps them from falling behind and getting lost. It's what helps keeps them engaged. What helps them get a little bit of confidence as they start to learn and know and understand more different things. It is the flow is so important. And that's a byproduct of hard truth number one, that you got to have a clear defined objective and you work backwards to plan everything out effectively. And you're addressing the real core issue, the real problem, the real thing during your session, which is hard truth number two. And then hard truth number three, the flow is so important and really putting energy into that. You haven't even walked into the training room yet. You haven't even launched the virtual session yet. You haven't even started really building out the e-learning module. You haven't even built the library of micro training videos yet. All the while you're planning, you're worrying about the flow. You got to get the flow down, I think I gotta I gotta get a better way of saying that. Get your flow down in. Anyway, there you have it, NBT Nation. Those are the first of three hard truths of becoming a no boring trainer. All right, number 4. Give you a bonus fourth one. We'll do 4 today. I was going to do 3. We'll do 4. Get input from around the firm and be a detective. When you get that, knock on the door, tap on the desk, the team's message, hey, can you plan a training? And you're a subject matter expert, go talk to the frontline users. Go talk to the frontline managers. Go talk to the key leaders and stakeholders. Go talk to the other departments that interface with whoever it is you're going to be training. If you're talking to the sales team, what about operations and production? Do they have anything that they can share? Yeah, well, the sales team never fills out Form L57 correctly, and it screws everything up by the time we get it to us. So now when you're teaching the sales team about Form L57, you can now add in that anecdote and that reinforcement that, hey, this is really important, line 7, because if you don't do that, the folks out in the plant are really going to get, it's going to make their life harder. It's going to delay everything. It's going to screw up the order. If you're working on a medical procedure, and you're teaching medical staff, what about all the other medical teams that might need to get interfaced or brought into this? Maybe it's different locations. You're in facility 1 in Pocatello, Idaho, but your facility interfaces with the folks in Walla Walla, Washington, or Schenectady, and whatever other funny names, Secaucus, and whatever funny other cities you can think of. Talk to those individuals. Talk to the frontline users. Frontline users are a gold mine of information that are going to make your training way more interesting and effective. They will give you the anecdotes, the stories, the pitfalls, the hacks, the cheat codes that they've figured out to circumvent the existing procedures. They'll tell you the procedures that aren't written down. They'll tell you the procedures that are broken. They'll tell you the processes and business systems that aren't working or are not available that they're supposed to have, but they don't. They'll tell you all that. long before you get into the training room. Talk to the frontline managers. They'll do the same thing. They'll tell you, frontline managers, I like to kind of, poke some fun at them and NBT content the, across social media, but they have a really tough job. Field managers, frontline managers are the middle ground between individual users and senior leadership. And they get it from both sides. So, mad respect to you, frontline managers. But go talk to those frontline managers when you're planning out a training. You will get invaluable information. They will tell you the guidance from senior leadership that's pie in the sky, full of hot air, that really isn't working, really isn't being used, and really isn't being reinforced out in the field. They'll tell you the issues that the frontline team doesn't know, the foundational stuff they don't know. So you're trying to teach them some advanced concept, but they don't even know the basics. They'll tell you the teams that are switched on and they are high performing teams that are really dialed in and focused and hard chargers, and they'll tell you the teams that are full of goofballs. Those frontline managers are really invaluable. And then, of course, talk to senior leadership as well, because they play an important part in this. They have the objective that they're trying to drive towards to impact the overarching business. That can be useful in a couple different ways. One, corporate training should always tie to the mission, vision, values of the organization. Even if you're just teaching some low-level tactical thing, here's how you fill out this form. Here's how you turn on this machine. Here's how you do this sort of ABC level thing. You should find a way to connect that to the mission, vision, values of your organization and the overarching strategy. That's important. That's super critical. Talking to senior leadership will help you to understand the mission, vision, values, the corporate strategy, the direction. That you'll understand that on a much deeper level. But what it also does is it will help you to understand the challenges at a big picture level. It could be new initiatives that are coming down the road. It could be market challenges that are happening. It could be new competitors who are emerging and taking up market share. It could be long-term inter-organizational planning. Maybe it's a reorg. Maybe it's a shifting of resources and priorities. Maybe it's whatever. But when you talk to those senior leaders, you can get that. So even if you're teaching some kind of day-to-day tactical level thing, you can now start to sprinkle in, not only make the connection to the higher level mission, vision, values, you can start to sprinkle in this knowledge. You can build the training to reinforce the messaging. You can build the training to prepare for the big picture future reorganization or future initiative or future direction. You can start to set the stage. You can do lots of different things by talking to the senior leadership. So you got to poke around the firm and be a bit of a detective. Dive into the data. What's the data really telling you? Think about people, process, and systems when you're developing training. If you followed me across social media for any period of time, you'll know that I am a stickler. If there is no defined process, you cannot train it. I mean, why people stumble over that to this day is beyond me, but I still run into it on a somewhat regular basis, where I need a training, and okay, what's the process? And it's not written down, it's not known, and even if it was known, it's not effective. It changes every 10 minutes. You can't train a process that either doesn't exist, isn't written down, isn't understood, or changes like you change your socks. You just can't do it. But you got to be a detective as a trainer to go figure out that process isn't in place. Business systems, go and know and understand the business systems in the background that support whatever it is you're training. So maybe your system has a new financial reporting software and you're teaching one element of it. The more you go and know that software, let alone its future implementation cycles, future add-ons and feature sets, revision processes, when new upgrades are going to launch, all that kind of stuff. The more you go and do that, the more effective your session becomes, even if it's just a little half an hour thing. You can get data. So maybe you're doing some sales training and you have to teach a new sales thing, and you want to really get people to adopt and understand. Maybe it's a closing approach. We really want to target this sort of opportunity in our pipeline, and we really want to increase our win rate, our close rate on those types of opportunities. Go and do some data. Like, what is the overall strength of the pipeline of that group to begin with? How many opportunities are in the pipeline? What stage of the pipeline are in there? What's the probability of all of the pipeline? What is the percentage of the type of opportunities that you're wanting to train them to close on versus all the other types of opportunities? The more you get all that information, the more real, relevant, and relatable your training is going to become. And real, relevant, and relatable are 3 of the 6 pillars of interesting and effective training. So just by going and spending a little deep dive time to pull out all that information, you can get a way better, way more interesting and engaged training session. All right. So there you have it, NBT Nation. I think that's a good stopping point. The first 4 hard truths of becoming a no boring trainer. If you're out there listening to this, you can really dive into unpacking these hard truths by grabbing your copy of The Hard Truths of Becoming a No Boring Trainer, which is available right now, live at noboringtraining.com. Grab your copy today. 60 pages, 20 hard truths, 15 infographics, all sorts of practical tips that are going to help you get results, not yawns. Grab your copy today. All right, MBT Nation, let me know what you think. Leave me a comment on the quality or sound of this live stream. Definitely trying to level up there. Be interested to get some feedback. Let me know what you think about the hard truths. Leave me some comments there. These are the tips I wish I had when I first started out. And ultimately, MBT Nation, remember, by working together, we can get results, not yawns. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hopefully you